Silence can reveal more than 1,000 photographs. Some of the most emotionally intelligent people are almost invisible on social media. They may have an account, they may scroll through posts, read comments, and notice details that everyone else misses. Yet they rarely share their own faces, relationships, achievements, or painful moments. Their profiles remain quiet while the world around them competes to be seen. Many people misunderstand this silence. They assume these individuals are insecure, lonely, secretive, or living an unhappy life. But in many cases, the truth is far deeper. Empaths often experience online attention differently because they process emotional and social information with unusual depth. A simple photograph does not always feel like a simple photograph to them. It can feel like opening a private door and allowing hundreds of people to enter without knowing what they truly want. Every view can carry judgment. Every reaction can create pressure. Even a kind comment may make them wonder whether the person behind it is sincere. This does not mean every empath fears attention. It means many of them understand its hidden cost. Social media encourages people to turn real life into a public performance. Happiness becomes proof, love becomes content, pain becomes a status update, success becomes a competition. Empaths often notice this pattern before others do, and once they see it, pretending not to see it becomes difficult. They can sense insecurity behind constant showing, loneliness behind endless updates, and silent comparison beneath friendly reactions. The emotional noise can become exhausting. So instead of trying to win attention, they step back from it. Their privacy is not always weakness. Sometimes it is a boundary built after disappointment. Sometimes it is protection created after trusting the wrong people. And sometimes it is the quiet confidence of a person who no longer needs strangers to confirm that their life has value. In this video, you will learn why empaths often avoid posting their faces, why public attention can feel more threatening than rewarding, and why they may protect happy relationships from online visibility. We will also explore how emotional sensitivity affects self-expression, why one negative reaction can stay in their mind longer than many positive ones, and how social comparison slowly changes the way people see themselves. Stay until the end because the final reason may completely change how you view quiet people online. Their silence may not mean they have nothing to share. It may mean they have learned that not everyone deserves access to them. They may be watching carefully, understanding deeply, and choosing peace over performance. Welcome to our channel, where we explore empaths, emotional boundaries, hidden behavior, and the deeper psychology behind everyday choices. Subscribe now and join us as we uncover what people reveal even when they choose not to be seen. For an empath, posting a photograph is rarely a quick and meaningless action. Other people may choose an image, add a few words, press a button, and forget about it a minute later. An empath may experience the same action as a form of emotional exposure. The photograph may show only a face, a place, or a happy moment, but to them it can reveal much more. It may reveal their mood, their relationships, their personal taste, their location, or a part of life they normally protect. Before posting, their mind can move far beyond the image itself. They may think about who will see it, what those people already know about them, and what story they might create from one small moment. They may wonder whether an old friend will misunderstand it, whether a relative will ask uncomfortable questions, or whether a stranger will judge their appearance. They can think about people who are not even following them but may still receive the photograph through screenshots or shared messages. What looks like overthinking from the outside may feel like awareness from the inside. They understand that once a personal moment enters a public space, control over that moment begins to disappear. People can save it, discuss it, compare it, or interpret it without knowing the truth behind it. This is why an empath may prepare a post and then delete it before publishing. They may upload a photograph and remove it a few minutes later. They may keep beautiful pictures on their phone for years without showing them to anyone. It is not always because they dislike the pictures. In many cases, they value those moments so deeply that public attention feels too intrusive. Sensitive people often process social information in detail. They notice tone, timing, facial expressions, silence, and small changes in behavior. The same depth of processing can continue online. They do not simply see a number of views. They think about the people behind those views. They do not only see a comment, they consider the intention, emotion, and possible hidden meaning inside it. Even the absence of a reaction can become information. If someone who normally responds suddenly remains silent, the empath may notice. If a close friend views a post but does not acknowledge important news, the empath may wonder whether that person is upset, distant, jealous, or simply busy. The mind begins examining possibilities because online communication removes much of the context available in real conversation. There is no voice to hear, no expression to study, and no immediate chance to correct a misunderstanding. For someone who naturally searches for emotional meaning, this missing context can create pressure. Posting then becomes more than sharing. It becomes the opening of a door through which many unknown reactions may enter. The empath may feel responsible for those reactions even when they cannot control them. They may think about whether their happiness will hurt someone who is struggling. They may worry that a confident photograph will appear arrogant. They may avoid sharing an achievement because they do not want others to feel smaller. They may hide a relationship because they do not want to invite comparison, gossip, or questions. This level of concern can make an ordinary post feel emotionally heavy. It is easier to remain quiet than to manage all the possible meanings that other people may attach to a personal moment. Attention also carries a different emotional weight for many empaths. Social media presents attention as a reward. Likes, comments, shares, and followers are designed to feel positive. They tell a person that they have been noticed. Yet being noticed is not the same as being understood. An empath may sense this difference very quickly. A photograph can receive hundreds of reactions while the person inside the photograph still feels unseen. Compliments may sound kind, but some can feel automatic. Others may contain hidden comparison or curiosity. A person may praise the empath in public and criticize them in private. Someone may ask a friendly question only because they want personal information. Another person may show interest during a successful period and disappear during a painful one. Because empaths often pay close attention to patterns, they may become cautious about the attention they receive. They know that not every person watching them is supporting them. Some are comparing, some are collecting information, some are bored, some are looking for weakness, some may genuinely care, but a public platform places sincere interest and false interest in the same space. This makes it difficult to know which reaction deserves trust. A positive comment can bring a brief feeling of warmth, yet one cruel or mocking comment can stay in the mind much longer. This does not mean the empath is weak. The human brain naturally gives strong attention to possible social threats, and a highly sensitive person may process such signals more deeply. A short insult can become a long internal conversation. They may replay the words and question why the person wrote them. They may examine whether there was any truth in the criticism. They may remember earlier experiences of rejection that carried a similar feeling. The comment may disappear beneath newer posts, but its emotional effect can remain. 10 people may offer praise, yet the mind keeps returning to the one person who tried to cause pain. The positive comments often require little explanation because they feel safe. The negative comment creates uncertainty, and uncertainty demands attention. The empath may wonder whether other people secretly agree with it. They may question whether the photograph looked different from what they believed. They may regret sharing it and become more careful the next time. This can create a quiet form of self-censorship. They begin removing parts of themselves before anyone else gets the chance to reject them. They use safer photographs, softer opinions, and less personal language. Eventually, they may stop posting altogether because the reward of attention no longer feels worth the emotional risk. Public attention can also create comparison. A compliment about beauty may make the empath think about people who are judged for their appearance. Praise for success may create pressure to remain successful. Approval of a relationship may make them feel that the relationship is now being watched. Attention can turn a private experience into a public identity, and public identities are difficult to maintain. Once people expect someone to be happy, confident, successful, or deeply in love, that person may feel unable to show the parts of life that do not match the image. The empath can sense this trap before becoming fully caught inside it. They may choose not to create an image that they will later feel forced to protect. They do not want strangers deciding whether their life is improving or falling apart based on what appears on a screen. They also do not want a changing number beneath a post to control their mood. A post may receive less attention than expected, and suddenly a beautiful memory feels less valuable. A photograph that once brought joy becomes connected with disappointment. The empath may recognize how easily outside reactions can enter an inner experience and change its meaning. By refusing to post, they keep that meaning for themselves. Their happiness remains connected to the event rather than the response it received. Social media also encourages people to create polished versions of themselves. Most users do not share every ordinary hour, private fear, disagreement, mistake, or insecure thought. They select moments, they choose the best photograph from many attempts, they adjust the light, rewrite the caption, remove details, and present the part of the story that creates the desired impression. The photograph may be real, but the identity built around it can still be incomplete. A smiling person may have cried minutes earlier. A loving couple may be struggling in private. A picture of success may hide debt, exhaustion, or fear. A confident caption may have been written by someone who desperately needs reassurance. Empaths often recognize these gaps because they are attentive to emotional contradictions. They can see that a person appears happy while sensing pain beneath the presentation. They may notice how strongly someone insists that life is perfect and wonder why perfection needs to be proved so often. This awareness can make them uncomfortable with building their own polished identity. They may feel dishonest when sharing only their brightest moments, even though everyone understands that social media is selective. They do not want to create the belief that their life is always beautiful when they know it contains confusion, loss, boredom, and struggle. At the same time, they may not want to expose those difficult parts to people who have not earned their trust. This leaves them caught between two choices that both feel wrong. Presenting only the good can feel false, while revealing the painful can feel unsafe. Silence becomes the most honest option available. It allows them to live without turning every experience into a statement about who they are. They can change their minds without explaining an old post. They can struggle without feeling that they have disappointed an audience. They can enjoy success without using it to build a public identity. This desire for authenticity is often misunderstood. People may believe that anyone who values honesty should share more openly, but honesty does not require complete public access. A person can be genuine and private at the same time. In fact, an empath may protect their authenticity by refusing to perform it. They may understand that once authenticity becomes content, it can slowly become another role. The person begins asking what their audience expects from the real version of them. Even vulnerability can become polished. Pain can be edited into an attractive caption. Healing can become a public identity that leaves no room for another difficult day. The empath may resist this because emotions are not always clear, beautiful, or ready to be explained. Some experiences need time before words can hold them. Some should be shared only with people who can respond with care. When every emotion is turned into content, the person may begin observing their life from the outside instead of fully living it. A happy moment can be interrupted by the need to document it. A painful moment can become connected with questions about whether it should be shared. The empath may feel this division strongly. Part of them is living, while another part is preparing the experience for an audience. They would rather keep the experience whole. Social comparison adds another layer to this discomfort. When people repeatedly see selected versions of other lives, they may compare their complete reality with someone else's best moments. The empath understands that the comparison is unfair, yet knowledge does not always stop the emotional effect. They may see a person celebrating an achievement and genuinely feel happy for them, but also begin questioning their own progress. They may see a loving relationship and remember their loneliness. They may look at attractive photographs and become more aware of their own imperfections. Because they feel for others, they can hold admiration and sadness at the same time. They may also worry that their own posts could create the same pain in someone else. A photograph from a holiday may be harmless, but they think about the friend who cannot afford to travel. A romantic post may be sincere, but they remember someone recovering from heartbreak. An achievement may deserve celebration, but they know another person is facing failure. This does not mean they should never share joy. It shows how easily their attention moves toward the emotional position of other people. The ability to see many sides of a moment can reduce the simple pleasure of posting it. What begins as self-expression turns into an ethical question about how expression affects everyone watching. The empath may become tired before the post is even published. Some parts of life also feel emotionally sacred to them. They do not want every meaningful experience placed where it can be judged in seconds. A new relationship may feel delicate. It is still developing its own language, trust, and sense of safety. Sharing it publicly can invite opinions before the two people fully understand what they have. Friends may compare it with past relationships, relatives may ask about the future, strangers may make comments based on appearance. People who know nothing about the private bond may begin acting as if they understand it. An empath may feel that this attention changes the emotional space around the relationship. Instead of allowing it to grow quietly, the couple may begin thinking about how it appears. A loving moment can become a photograph, and the photograph can become proof that the relationship is still strong. If posts become less frequent, people may assume there is trouble. The relationship is no longer only being lived, it is being watched and interpreted. An empath may avoid this by keeping love away from the public eye. They may share little because the relationship matters greatly, not because it matters less. Happiness can feel more genuine when it does not need to be displayed. A private celebration does not depend on reactions. A quiet achievement remains satisfying even if nobody outside the room knows it happened. This kind of happiness has no audience and therefore no performance. It can be imperfect without embarrassment. It can be temporary without public explanation. It can belong completely to the people experiencing it. Pain may also need privacy. When an empath is hurt, they may not want immediate advice, curiosity, judgment, or messages from people who only appear during dramatic moments. Publicly sharing pain can bring support, but it can also bring pressure to explain details before the person understands them. Some people will offer quick solutions, others will compare the pain with their own experiences. A few may treat it as entertainment. The empath may then need to manage other people's reactions while already carrying a heavy emotional burden. Privacy gives them room to feel without performing recovery. They can be confused today and clearer tomorrow. They can forgive someone without defending that choice publicly. They can leave a situation without answering questions. They can heal at a pace that does not create content for other people. Psychological privacy is not merely the hiding of information, it is the ability to decide which parts of the self are accessible, to whom, and under what conditions. For an empath, this choice can be essential. They may have learned through experience that access should be earned. Perhaps they once shared openly and later discovered that private details were repeated, mocked, or used during a conflict. Perhaps a trusted person saved vulnerable messages and showed them to others. Perhaps they received sympathy in public but felt abandoned in private. Experiences like these can teach them that exposure is easy to create and difficult to reverse. They become more selective. Outsiders may call them secretive, but secrecy and privacy are not identical. Secrecy often hides information because its discovery may create danger or shame. Privacy protects information because it has personal value. The empath may not be ashamed of their life at all. They simply do not believe every person deserves to enter it. Their quiet profile can therefore represent a strong boundary. It says that their relationships are not public property, their pain is not entertainment, and their happiness does not require outside approval. The absence of information creates a protected space where life can develop without constant observation. That protected space becomes even more important because social media contains an enormous amount of emotional noise. A person can move from a wedding announcement to a story about death, then to an argument, a joke, a political conflict, a beautiful holiday, and a painful confession within a few minutes. The mind is asked to change emotional direction again and again without enough time to process any single feeling. Many people scroll quickly and experience these posts as small pieces of information. An empath may absorb more of the emotional atmosphere surrounding them. A sad story can remain in their chest after the screen changes. An angry comment section can create tension even when the argument has nothing to do with them. News about cruelty can damage their mood for hours. A friend's vague post may make them worry that the friend is in pain. They may send a message, offer support, and begin carrying concern for a situation they cannot solve. The platform does not pause while they process it. More feelings continue arriving. This can make social media feel less like a collection of posts and more like a crowded room filled with people speaking at once. Every person seems to want attention, understanding, agreement, or comfort. The empath can hear the emotional need beneath the words, even when the post is presented as entertainment. Boasting may look like confidence, but they may sense insecurity beneath it. Constant jokes may appear cheerful, but they may notice sadness being carefully avoided. A compliment may sound generous while carrying a quiet competition. A dramatic post may express anger, but the deeper emotion may be fear of abandonment. This interpretation is not always correct. No one can know another person's full inner state through a screen. Yet the empath's mind continues noticing possibilities, and each possibility requires emotional energy. They may begin feeling responsible for responding. If someone appears lonely, ignoring the post feels cold. If someone shares pain, leaving without offering comfort feels wrong. If friends disagree, the empath may understand both sides and feel trapped between them. A short visit to an app can become an hour of emotional work. Even when they do not comment, their mind may remain involved. They carry fragments of other people's lives into their own day. They may close the app feeling anxious, sad, irritated, or exhausted without immediately knowing why. The emotions did not begin with their own life, but their nervous system still reacted to them. Remaining quiet online can reduce this overload. Posting invites more notifications, conversations, questions, and reactions. Each alert asks the empath to return to the emotional crowd. By posting less, they reduce the number of open social loops demanding attention. They can observe without becoming the center of a new discussion. They can leave the platform without feeling responsible for answering everyone. Their silence creates distance between their inner state and the emotional movement of the online world. This distance can be necessary because empaths may struggle to separate caring from carrying. Caring means recognizing another person's feelings. Carrying means allowing those feelings to occupy one's own emotional space for too long. Social media makes that boundary difficult to maintain. Stories arrive without warning. Personal tragedies appear beside advertisements. Conflicts are designed to attract attention. Strong emotional reactions increase engagement so the most upsetting material can spread quickly. An empath may sense the cost of this environment and protect themselves by limiting participation. They may still care deeply about people, but they know that being available to every feeling at every hour is not sustainable. Quietness becomes a way of preserving enough emotional energy for real relationships and responsibilities. Their silence may also come from thinking too deeply about the effect of their own posts. Before sharing good news, an empath may picture the people who will receive it. They remember who recently lost a job, ended a relationship, failed an examination, or faced a financial problem. Their joy becomes mixed with concern. They do not want to hide every good part of life, yet they do not want celebration to feel like a painful comparison for someone else. A simple announcement can therefore require careful wording. They may remove confident language so it does not sound arrogant. They may avoid mentioning how difficult the achievement was because they do not want to appear hungry for praise. They may add a joke to make the news feel smaller. They may delay the post until the moment no longer feels natural. Finally, they decide not to share it. When they are in pain, a different set of worries appears. They may want support but fear burdening others. They know friends have their own problems. They may worry that a sad post will look like an attempt to gain attention. They may fear that people will ask for details they are not ready to provide. They may also worry that silence after the post will hurt more than the original problem. Asking for care publicly creates the possibility that care will not come. For a sensitive person, that possibility can feel dangerous. They may choose private suffering because at least it allows them to keep control over who knows. Even ordinary opinions can become difficult to share. The empath often understands that people bring different histories, values, and wounds to the same subject. A sentence that feels harmless to one person can feel insulting to another. They may rewrite a caption repeatedly, trying to prevent every possible misunderstanding. They remove words that sound too harsh. Then they worry that the message has become unclear. They add context, but the post becomes too long. They shorten it again and fear that important meaning has been lost. This is not simply fear of disagreement. It can be a strong desire to communicate fairly. The empath does not want to reduce a complex issue to a quick statement that may harm someone or create a false impression. Social media, however, often rewards speed, certainty, and strong emotion. Careful thought can disappear beneath louder reactions. The empath may decide that silence is better than placing a complicated belief into an environment that encourages simple judgment. Their awareness of other people's feelings can turn self-expression into emotional management. They are no longer asking only, "What do I want to share?" They are asking how every person may receive it. Will this look insensitive? Will it sound proud? Will someone believe it is directed at them? Will an old conflict return? Will a private joke be misunderstood? Will a family member feel excluded? Will a friend think the empath is closer to someone else? These questions can multiply until the original desire to post disappears. Saying nothing feels easier than preparing for every possible interpretation. This pattern can become so natural that others assume the empath has no opinions or experiences worth sharing. In reality, they may have a rich inner world and many thoughts they never publish. Their silence does not come from emptiness. It comes from the number of meanings they can see inside a single action. One reason this silence continues is that many empaths prefer real connection over public recognition. They may not dislike people, they may deeply value relationships, conversation, and emotional closeness. What they dislike is the thin form of connection that can appear when personal experiences are offered to a large audience. A public post reaches many people, but it does not guarantee that any of them truly understand. A private conversation reaches one person, yet it allows tone, context, questions, and trust. The empath may choose to tell one close friend about an achievement rather than announce it to hundreds of followers. The friend knows the struggle behind the achievement. They know the fear, effort, disappointment, and sacrifice that came before it. Their response carries meaning because it is connected to the full story. Public reactions often respond only to the visible result. People congratulate the outcome without knowing what it cost. For the empath, this can feel pleasant but emotionally shallow. They are not always searching for more reactions. They are searching for a response that feels real. The same is true when they are hurting. 100 short messages may not provide the safety of one honest conversation with someone who listens carefully. Public support can be kind, but it may place the empath in the position of replying to many people while emotionally tired. Private support allows them to speak without shaping the pain into a clear public story. They can pause, change direction, and admit thoughts that do not sound strong or wise. They do not need to make their suffering understandable to an audience. This depth is difficult to create in a comment section. Social media measures connection through visible numbers. The number of followers suggests influence. Likes suggest approval. Comments suggest interest. Yet none of these numbers can fully measure trust. A person with thousands of followers may have nobody they can call during a crisis. Another person may rarely post but have several relationships built on years of loyalty. Empaths may recognize this difference and refuse to confuse visibility with closeness. They care less about how many people know their name and more about how safely they can be themselves with the people who know their heart. This can make them appear distant online while being warm and expressive in private life. They may send long messages, remember small details, and offer deep support to a few people. Their attention is concentrated rather than publicly distributed. They understand that every person who receives their truth also gains the ability to affect them. For that reason, they choose carefully. They want to know whether someone can hold personal information without turning it into gossip. They want to know whether support will remain during uncomfortable periods. They watch how people speak about others because that behavior reveals how they may handle the empath's private life. They notice whether a person respects a small boundary before offering access to something larger. This careful selection can take time, but once trust is established, the empath may reveal a side of themselves that never appears online. They can be humorous, passionate, vulnerable, and confident. The public sees silence while trusted people see depth. This difference is intentional. Their truth is not unavailable. It is simply not being offered without conditions. Not posting can therefore become a deliberate form of control. Social media encourages continuous access. People can learn where someone goes, who they spend time with, what they value, what they fear, and how their life is changing. Each post may appear harmless on its own, but together the posts create a detailed map of a person's world. An empath may feel uncomfortable giving that map to people they barely know. When others cannot constantly see their relationships, routines, location, emotions, and struggles, they have less material to judge, question, copy, or misuse. They cannot easily identify where the empath feels weak. They cannot use a painful post during a future disagreement. They cannot turn a private relationship into a topic of group conversation. They cannot monitor every change and demand an explanation. The empath keeps the right to reveal information when it feels appropriate. This control may be especially important for someone whose boundaries were ignored in the past. A person who once explained too much may learn that explanations do not always create understanding. Sometimes they only give manipulative people more information. A person who once shared pain openly may discover that sympathy is not the same as loyalty. Someone may comfort them today and use the same confession against them tomorrow. After enough experiences like this, the empath becomes quieter. The change may look sudden to others, but it often develops through many small disappointments. They stop announcing plans before those plans are complete. They stop explaining relationship problems to people who enjoy drama. They stop posting emotional reactions while the feelings are still intense. They wait, process, and decide whether sharing serves any real purpose. In many cases, it does not. The private life begins to feel calmer because fewer people are commenting on it. Decisions become easier when the empath is not trying to satisfy an invisible audience. Relationships feel safer when every disagreement does not create a change that followers can notice. Personal growth becomes more honest because it does not need to look smooth or inspiring. Privacy allows the empath to fail without public embarrassment and begin again without making an announcement. It allows them to change their beliefs without defending an older version of themselves preserved in past posts. It gives them space to become someone new before the world decides who that person should be. This form of silence is not always created by fear. Fear may be present, especially after betrayal or rejection, but privacy can also grow from self-respect. The empath begins recognizing that access to their inner world is valuable. They no longer treat personal information as the price of being included. They do not reveal more simply because another person asks. They do not post proof of happiness to stop rumors. They do not expose a relationship to convince others that it is real. They do not explain a quiet period to people who never checked on them privately. Their boundary becomes simple. Those who are close will know what they need to know, and those who are distant do not require a complete explanation. This can frustrate people who are accustomed to easy access. Some may call the empath mysterious, others may accuse them of hiding. A few may create their own stories to fill the empty space. The empath slowly learns that other people's assumptions are not an emergency. Correcting every false idea would require giving away the privacy they are trying to protect. They allow others to misunderstand rather than abandoning themselves to be understood. That choice can feel uncomfortable at first because empaths often want peace and mutual understanding. Over time, however, they discover that peace does not always come from explaining more. Sometimes it comes from stepping away from the need to manage what everyone thinks. Their quiet online presence gives them the freedom to live without constant proof. They can love without displaying it, grow without announcing it, grieve without performing it, and succeed without turning success into a public identity. Each withheld detail leaves more room for personal choice. Each protected moment strengthens the boundary between genuine intimacy and simple access. The people who remain close do not depend on posts to understand what is happening. They communicate directly, they ask with care and listen without demanding. The empath begins placing more energy into these relationships and less into the wide circle of people who watch but do not truly participate in their life. Their social media account may remain nearly empty while their private world continues to deepen, change, and expand beyond what any public profile could fully show. An empath's quiet profile may hide a life filled with deep emotions, meaningful relationships, private victories, and difficult lessons. Their silence does not mean they are lonely, insecure, or waiting to be noticed. It may mean they have learned that attention is not the same as love, visibility is not the same as connection, and being watched is not the same as being understood. They may have discovered that peace feels better than attention, privacy feels safer than performance, and one genuine conversation means more than hundreds of empty reactions. They do not need to display every happy moment to prove that it happened. They do not need to reveal every painful experience to make it real. By remaining private, they protect the people they love, the emotions they are still processing, and the parts of themselves that strangers have not earned the right to see. So, what about you? Do you enjoy sharing your life publicly, or do you prefer keeping your most meaningful moments private? Tell us in the comments because your answer may help another person feel understood. If this video gave you clarity, like it and share it with someone whose silence is often misunderstood. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful videos about empaths, emotional boundaries, hidden behavior, and human psychology. Remember, a quiet profile does not always belong to an empty life. Sometimes the people who show the least online are the ones experiencing life most deeply.